What would you do if your greatest strength became your deepest shame? The question hangs in the air like incense, heavy waiting Lin Chen moves through the morning ritual bare feet on polished, would each step deliberate, each breath measured the martial. Arts Academy sleeps around her empty mats stretched like prayers sunlight cutting through high windows dust motes dancing in golden shafts. She is 17 small for her age quiet by nature fierce by necessity her hands trace ancient forms movements passed down through generations fluid as water sharp as lightning tiger stance flows to crane melts into dragon becomes snake returns to stillness. This is her sanctuary, her escape, her truth. The walls hold photographs black and white memories her grandfather in competition stance trophies gleaming on shelves certificates yellowed with age testimonials from grateful students. Master Chin's Academy established 1987 built from immigrant dreams sustained by unwavering dedication. But sanctuaries can become prisons and truth becomes dangerous when the wrong people are watching. The front door chimes heavy footsteps echo across the dojo floor. Principal Matthews enters his shadow falling across Lin's practice space behind him. Three figures in Letterman jackets. Brad Kowalski leads the pack 6 feet of entitlement wrapped in fake charm. Tyler Morrison flanks his left, all muscle and malice. Jake Sullivan guards the right, silent but equally menacing. They move like a pack, coordinated, predatory, confident in their power. Matthews clears his throat. The sound cuts through morning silence. Lynn stops mid-form, her heart already knowing your extracurricular activity. He says the words like they taste bitter is no longer appropriate for Westfield High representation. The boys smirk. Brad's eyes gleam with victory. They've been planning this moment, savoring it, rehearsing their triumph. You see, Lynn Matthews continues, his voice carrying false concern. Martial arts sends the wrong message. Too aggressive, too foreign, too different. The words land like physical blows, each one calculated, each one designed to wound, each one legally bulletproof. We're implementing a new athletic standard only traditional American sports: football, basketball, baseball, track and field, swimming, real sports. Brad adds, his voice dripping condescension: sports that build character, sports that matter. Lynn's fists clench, then slowly release. Not anger, not fear, just focus. She learned long ago that silence is sometimes the strongest response, that dignity lives in stillness, that warriors choose their battles. Her grandfather's voice echoes, true strength lies not in the fist, but in knowing when to use it and when to keep it closed. But this battle she didn't choose. It chose her. Matthews produces a clipboard, forms already prepared, signatures waiting, legal language dancing across pages. Your parents have been notified. The decision is final. You have until Friday to find a new after-school activity, something more suitable for a young lady, something that won't cause community concerns. The word lady hits hardest, wrapped in expectation, heavy with limitation, suffocating with tradition. Not the good kind of tradition, the kind that builds strength, the kind that passes wisdom, the kind that honors ancestors, but the other kind, the kind that builds walls, the kind that limits dreams, the kind that fears difference. Lynn's grandfather taught her that respect is earned through action, that strength comes from within, that true warriors protect the innocent. But what happens when the system, the very institution meant to nurture growth, becomes the enemy? What happens when authority figures smile while wielding discrimination like a perfectly legal weapon? The boys laugh low and cruel. The sound echoes off empty walls, bounces through Lynn's ribcage, settles in her chest like lead. Tyler cracks his knuckles. Jake adjusts his Letterman jacket. Brad just stares, his smile sharp as broken glass. The one they know it, she knows it, everyone knows it. Matthews tucks the clipboard away, satisfied with his morning's work. Another problem solved, another difference erased, another square peg hammered round. Come Friday, we expect compliance. He pauses at the door, his final words sharp as blade edges. This is non-negotiable. No appeals process, no discussion, no mercy. The door chimes again, footsteps fade, silence returns, but it's different now, heavier, suffocating, poison. Lynn stands alone in the space that defined her, surrounded by the tools of her art, weapons that mean nothing now against the weapons of bureaucracy. Her phone buzzes, a text from her best friend Maya. Heard what happened, this is so messed up, what are you going to do? Another buzz, everyone's talking about it. Some people are mad, but most are scared to say anything. Fear, the ultimate weapon, the perfect control mechanism. What would you do when your identity gets stripped away by people who've never understood it, when your strength becomes Liability in a world that fears what it cannot control. Lin looks around the dojo. Each corner holds a memory. Each mat tells a story. Each mirror reflects not just her image, but her heritage, her grandfather's legacy, her grandmother's sacrifice. They came to America with nothing. Built this academy from dreams and determination, taught respect, through discipline showed love, through tradition proved worth, through perseverance, and now it's being taken away by fear disguised as policy, by ignorance. Wearing authority, by hatred hiding behind regulations. The morning sun climbs higher, dust motes continue their dance, but something has shifted, something fundamental has broken in Lin Chen, 17 years old, guardian of ancient wisdom, student of timeless truths, keeper of family honor, must decide how to fight a war she never wanted against enemies who make the rules in a system designed to crush what it cannot understand. The question echoes. What would you do? Friday arrives like a death sentence, each hour dragging, each minute heavy with finality. Lin walks through Westfield High's corridors. Students part like water. Some stare with curiosity, others with pity. Most avoid eye contact entirely. Word spreads fast, in small towns especially, when it involves the quiet Asian girl who thinks she's Bruce Lee. The whispers follow her. Did you hear about time? Always thought it was weird, probably dangerous. Anyway, she reaches her locker. The metal door reflects her face, distorted, fragmented, unrecognizable. Inside, textbooks stacked, neat photos taped to the door. Her and Maya at homecoming, her grandparents at the academy opening her first tournament medal, small and bronze, but earned through blood and sweat. She touches the photo, her grandfather's weathered hands gentle on her shoulders, his smile radiating pride, his eyes holding secret stories, untold wisdom unshared. The bell rings, students flood the hallways. Lin closes her locker. The sound echoes like gunshot in first period English. Mrs. Rodriguez assigns group projects partners, chosen by popularity. Lin sits alone again. Brad Kowalski raises his hand, his voice carrying false innocence. Mrs. Rodriguez, shouldn't we be careful about promoting violence in literature? All eyes turn to Lin, the message crystal clear. Even here, even in Shakespeare, she doesn't belong. Mrs. Rodriguez stammers, confused by the sudden shift. The lesson derails. Lin sinks deeper into her chair. Lunch period brings no relief. The cafeteria buzzes with gossip. Lin finds Maya at their usual table, near the windows, away from the crowd. Maya's eyes burn with anger. This is complete garbage. She slams her lunch tray down. They can't just erase you because you're different, but they can, and they are, and everyone knows it. Maya pulls out her phone, shows Lin the school's official statement posted on social media that morning. Westfield High is committed to traditional American values and appropriate extracurricular activities that build character through conventional team sports. The comments section explodes, parents praising the decision, students picking sides, community members revealing their true colors. Finally, someone takes a stand. These foreign activities don't belong. What's next? Teaching witchcraft? But scattered among the hate, small voices of dissent. This is discrimination. Lin Chen is the most respectful kid in school. Martial arts, teaches discipline too few, too quiet, too late. After lunch, Lin walks to the academy one last time. As a student, the key turns. The door opens, silence greets her, but something's different. Something's been added, something waits on the center motto, wooden box, lacquered dark, carved with dragons, ancient symbols, meaningful designs. She's never seen it before, yet it feels familiar. Like coming home, like remembering a dream. Her hands shake as she opens it. Inside, wrapped in silk, a photograph, black and white, grainy with age, a young Asian man in fighting stance, surrounded by a crowd, his face confident, determined, unafraid. Behind him, a banner reads Los Angeles Martial Arts Championship 1973. At the bottom, in faded ink, Bruce Lee exhibition match honoring Master Chen. Master Chen, her grandfather's name. But this can't be right. Grandpa never mentioned meeting Bruce Lee training. With legends being part of history, she turns the photograph over, more faded writing, to my friend and brother Master Chen, your wisdom guides us all. Bruce, the world tilts, reality shifts, everything she thought she knew crumbles and rebuilds. Her grandfather, quiet immigrant, academy owner, patient teacher, was also student of legends, keeper of secrets, guardian of legacy. Footsteps on the porch, the door opens. Grandpa enters, moving slowly, his cane tapping rhythm against wooden floors. His eyes find the box, the photograph, her tears. He nods once, as if this moment was always inevitable, always planned. He says softly, you found it. His voice carries no surprise, only sadness. And something else, something that sounds like relief. I was wondering when you would. Be ready when the time would come, when you would need to know. He settles onto a cushion, gestures for her to join him. The photograph rests between them, bridge between past and present. Your grandmother, she wanted me to tell you when you were younger, but I thought America would be different, that you wouldn't need the old stories, the hard truths. His eyes grow distant, lost in memory, traveling back decades. Bruce was special not because of his fighting, though that was impressive, but because of his heart, his understanding, his refusal to be silenced. They tried to stop him. Two studio executives, martial arts masters. Society itself said Asians couldn't be heroes, couldn't lead movies, couldn't represent strength in American minds. But Bruce fought back, not just with fists, but with dignity, with excellence, with unwavering belief in his own worth. Lynn's throat tightens, the parallel cuts, deep history repeating. Injustice, recycling, fear, wearing new faces. Grandpa continues, his voice steady despite the pain. He taught me that our traditions are not weapons but gifts, that our discipline is not aggression but art, that our heritage is not shame but strength. The academy was built on his inspiration, his encouragement, his belief that martial arts could bridge cultures, could heal divisions, could teach respect. But some people, they prefer their fears to our truths. Lynn looks at the photograph. Bruce Lee's confident stance, her grandfather's proud smile, the crowd's respectful attention. A moment frozen in time, when skill commanded respect, when excellence transcended prejudice, when one man's courage silenced an entire room. What would you do, her grandfather asks, if you had that power? If you could make them listen? If you could honor not just yourself, but everyone who came before? The question hangs like a challenge, like a promise, like a choice. And Lin Chen, 17 years old, granddaughter of legends, student of hidden masters, guardian of secret history, begins to understand that some battles are worth fighting no matter the cost. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. The story spreads like wildfire through hallways, through classrooms, through the small town's veins. Monday morning brings fresh cruelty. Brad Kowalski and his pack hunt in formation, predators with prey in sight. They corner Lynn at her locker. Tyler blocks escape routes. Jake stands guard. Brad moves in close. So karate girl, his voice drips poison. Find a new hobby yet? Maybe knitting? Cooking? Something more your speed? Lynn's hands remain steady. Books, organized, locker clean, dignity intact. The silence infuriates him, challenges his dominance, threatens his control. Asked you a question, he slams his palm against the metal door. The sound echoes like thunder, like violence, like warning. Still nothing. Lynn's breathing stays, even her grandfather's lessons flow through her mind. Bruce taught me that silence is sometimes the loudest response. The memory strengthens her, grounds her, reminds her she carries legacy in her bones. Brad's face reddens, his friends shift uncomfortably. Even bullies recognize when their power fails. You think you're better than us. He spits the words, think you're weird. Foreign fighting makes you special. Newsflash, this is America. We don't need your kind of special. The racial slur hovers unspoken, but understood, hanging in the air like a loaded weapon. Students gather, forming a circle, some film with phones, others just stare. Most do nothing. In the crowd, a janitor stops mopping. Mr. Martinez, quiet man, invisible to most. But Lynn knows his story. Former Marine, lost his leg overseas, came home to prejudice, to whispers, to being overlooked. He watches, his dark eyes recording everything, remembering everything. The bell rings, the crowd disperses. Brad and his pack move on, hunting fresh prey. Mr. Martinez approaches, his mop bucket wheels squeaking softly, his voice even softer. You okay, Mija? Lynn nods, though okay feels like a foreign concept. He leans on his mop, studies her face, sees past the surface to the pain beneath. My grandfather fought in the Philippines. World War II, came back, changed people, called him names, said he didn't belong, said his service didn't matter. But he taught me that dignity can't be taken, only given away. He hands her a card, folded paper, yellowed with age. Found this in the library's old collection. Thought you might want to see it. Lynn unfolds it, a newspaper clipping from 1973. The Los Angeles Times. Martial arts master silences critics. Bruce Lee's exhibition draws unprecedented crowd. The article describes a demonstration at a community center where Bruce Lee faced down protesters who called martial arts un-American, dangerous, foreign. Contamination. Lee's performance was flawless, his philosophy profound, his impact undeniable. Asterisk, even critics left with newfound respect. At the bottom, a small photo, Bruce Lee shaking hands with a young Asian man. Caption reads, Lee with Master Chen, local academy owner, who helped organize the historic event. Lin's hands tremble. The connection deepens the legacy, expands the responsibility, grows. Her grandfather didn't just know Bruce Lee, he helped him, supported him, stood with him when others wouldn't. Mr. Martinez watches her reaction, nods knowingly. Your grandfather, good man, came to my daughter's quinceanera 15 years ago, taught her self-defense after some boys bothered her at school, never charged, never boasted, just helped because it was right. The parallel strikes like lightning, history, echoing patterns, repeating cycles, continuing. That afternoon in chemistry class, Mrs. Patterson assigns lab partners randomly, supposedly, but Lin ends up with Rebecca Shaw, known for her cruelty, her sharp tongue, her social climbing. Rebecca wrinkles her nose. Great, stuck with the kung fu kid. This should be fun. She handles the equipment like Lin might contaminate it, speaks to her like she's deaf or stupid or both. The experiment fails twice. Rebecca blames Lin loudly, publicly. She can't even mix chemicals right. How's she supposed to fight anyone? Mr. Chun in the back, the substitute teacher covering for illness, watches everything, says nothing, but his eyes tell stories of similar moments of parallel pain, of shared understanding. After class, he approaches quietly, carefully. I knew your grandfather years ago in Los Angeles. Good man, wise teacher. He pauses, looks around, ensures privacy. Bruce Lee spoke of him often, said Master Chun understood the way better than most, said he could silence doubters not with violence, but with truth, with skill, with undeniable excellence. That evening at home, Lin shows her parents the newspaper clipping, the photograph, the growing evidence. Her mother cries, her father rages. Both feel helpless against institutional power. We could fight this, her father says. Higher lawyers make noise, demand justice, but Lin knows the system protects itself. Lawyers cost money. They don't have. Her mother holds the photograph, her father's young face proud and strong beside a legend. He never told us about Bruce Lee, about the exhibition, about any of it. Lin's grandfather enters the room, moving slowly, sitting carefully. I didn't want to burden you with old stories, old fights, old pain. He looks at each of them, his family, his legacy, his responsibility. But maybe it's time you understood that some stories aren't finished, some fights aren't over, some silences need to be broken. Outside, the October wind carries leaves, carries whispers, carries change. And in that moment, Lin Shin, 17 years old, keeper of secrets, carrier of legacy, granddaughter of giants, begins to understand that her grandfather's silence wasn't about shame, but about timing, about waiting for the right moment, to speak the right moment, to act the right moment, to honor not just Bruce Lee's memory, but his mission. The question evolves. What would you do if you discovered your silence had been preparation for your moment to roar? Tuesday arrives like Judgment Day. Lin enters school to find her locker vandalized. Yo home spray painted in crude red, letters dripping like blood, like tears, like finality. Students photograph the destruction. Some laugh, others look away, most pretend not to see. Principal Matthews appears, his face arranged in false concern, theatrical disappointment. Vandalism is serious. Lin will investigate, of course, but his tone suggests the investigation will be brief, ineffective, forgotten. Who do you think did this? He asks, as if the answer isn't obvious. Lin shrugs, maintains silence, refuses to give him the satisfaction of her pain. By lunch period, the vandalism spreads. Her car windows soap-scrawled with slurs, her gym locker filled with garbage, her reputation shredded systematically. Maya finds her in the library, hiding among dusty books, ancient encyclopedias, forgotten histories. This has gone too far. Maya whispers, we need to tell someone, need to fight back, need to make noise. But who would listen? Who has power here? Who would risk their own comfort for one quiet girl's dignity? The librarian, Mrs. Kim, pretends not to hear, but her eyes hold sympathy and something else, something like recognition. After school, Lin walks slowly to the academy, each step heavier than the last. Inside, her grandfather waits, the wooden box open, more photographs scattered across the mat. Come, he gestures, sit with me, learn the rest. The photos tell stories. Bruce Lee in training, her grandfather watching, learning, growing. But one image stops her cold. A crowd scene, angry faces, protesters with signs, martial arts equals violence. Keep foreign fighting out America for NIS. In the center, Bruce Lee stands calm, facing the mob, unafraid, undaunted. Behind him, her grandfather and others, Asian faces, determined, united. The year was 1973. Grandpa explains the country was changing. But slowly, painfully. Bruce had been offered a television show, but they wanted a white actor to play the Asian character. Can you imagine? He laughs bitterly. Our stories told by others, our strength portrayed by those who knew nothing of our struggles. So Bruce created his own opportunities, his own platform, his own way to show the world what we really were. The exhibition that day wasn't just demonstration, it was declaration statement of worth, proof of belonging, claim to dignity. But the protesters came, hundreds of them, angry, scared, hateful. They called us every name you've heard. And worse, said we were corrupting American youth, teaching violence, spreading foreign poison. Bruce could have canceled, could have walked away, could have chosen safety over truth. Instead, he did something that silenced every single voice in that room. Lynn leans forward, hungry for the story, desperate for hope, searching for weapons against her own battles. He began simply, quietly, with basic forms: tiger stance, crane technique, dragon movement, snake precision. The crowd jeered at first, called it dancing, called it fake, called it worthless. But Bruce continued, each movement perfect, each technique flawless, each demonstration building towards something greater. Then he invited challenges. Anyone from the crowd could test his skill. A boxer stepped forward, big man, confident, convinced of superiority. The match lasted 30 seconds, not because Bruce was violent, but because his skill was undeniable, his training complete, his mastery absolute. The boxer left respectful, humbled, changed. Others followed: a wrestler, a football player, a Marine. Each encounter brief, decisive, educational, not fights, but lessons, not victories, but conversations, not conquests, but understanding. By the end, the crowd was silent, not from fear, but from awe, from recognition, from respect earned through excellence. Bruce spoke, then, his voice carrying across the stunned room: martial arts teaches discipline, not violence, respect, not aggression, strength, not weakness. We are not your enemies, we are your neighbors, your classmates, your fellow Americans. We bring gifts, not threats, wisdom, not danger, art, not chaos. When he finished, the room erupted, not in anger, but in applause, genuine, overwhelming, transformative. Even the protesters, some of them clapped, nodded, understood. That day changed everything. For our community, for martial arts acceptance, for Asian American visibility, but more than that, it showed us that excellence speaks louder than hatred, that skill commands respect, even from enemies, that one person standing strong can silence an entire room. Lynn absorbs the story, feels its weight, its power, its possibility. Grandpa continues, his voice soft but firm. The box holds more than photographs, more than memories, more than history. It holds responsibility, legacy, mission, purpose. Bruce didn't fight for himself alone, but for all of us who would come after, for students like you who would face the same prejudice, the same ignorance, the same fear. He silenced that room so future rooms might listen, might learn, might accept. Lynn looks at her hands, small, seemingly powerless, but carrying generations of strength. What am I supposed to do? She asks. I'm just one girl in one school, fighting one system. Her grandfather smiles, the expression holding decades of wisdom, centuries of struggle, generations of hope. Bruce was just one man in one room facing one crowd, but he changed everything, not through anger, not through force, but through truth, through excellence, through refusing to be diminished. The question isn't what you're supposed to do, but what you're willing to do, what you're prepared to risk to protect not just yourself, but everyone who will come after. Lynn closes her eyes, feels the weight of legacy, of responsibility, of choice, and in that moment, she begins to understand that her grandfather's silence wasn't weakness, but preparation, that her own quiet strength wasn't surrender, but gathering storm, that sometimes the most powerful response to hatred is excellence, so undeniable, so complete, so perfect it silences every voice in the room. Wednesday morning brings whispers of the upcoming demonstration. Every spring semester, Westfield High hosts Athletic Excellence Day. Students showcase their talents, their dedication, their school spirit. Football players run drills, basketball stars shoot hoops, swimmers cut through water, track athletes sprint toward glory. All the approved sports, all the acceptable talents, all the safe expressions of American youth. But this year, the event carries different weight, sharper edges, deeper meaning. At breakfast, Lynn's parents exchange worried glances, unspoken fears, heavy silence. Her father reads the morning paper, local editorial praising the school's bold decision. Westfield High sets example for traditional values, American sports, only character building through conventional athletics. The words sting like salt in open wounds. Her mother packs lunch, hands trembling slightly, each sandwich wrapped with care, with love, with helplessness. At school, the hallways buzz with anticipation, students discussing their performances, their moments to shine. Lynn walks through invisible, excluded, forgotten. In first period, Coach Williams addresses the class about the demonstration. Remember, excellence is earned, not given. Champions are made, not born. His eyes avoid Lin, the irony lost on him, but not on her during lunch. Maya finds her in the courtyard, away from crowds, away from judgment. You've been thinking about your grandfather's story, about Bruce Lee, about that exhibition. She pulls out her phone, shows Lin a video clip, grainy footage from 1973. The camera shakes, the audio crackles, but the image is unmistakable. Bruce Lee in action, fluid, powerful, undeniable. Around him, a crowd transformed from hostility to wonder. Maya's eyes shine with possibility, with rebellion, with hope. What if we could do something like that? What if you could show them what they're rejecting? Lin shakes her head. Too dangerous, too risky, too impossible. But the seed is planted. The idea takes root. That afternoon at the academy, her grandfather continues the lesson. The box reveals more treasures, a tournament program from 1974, Bruce Lee Memorial Exhibition honoring his legacy, celebrating his mission. Her grandfather's name listed among the participants, the inheritors, the carriers of the flame. After Bruce died, we felt lost, rudderless, alone, but his message remained. His example endured. His challenge continued. We organized demonstrations, exhibitions, lessons, not for glory, but for understanding. Each performance, each technique, each moment of excellence honored his memory, advanced his cause. Grandpa shows her a medal, bronze and tarnished, but beautiful, from the first memorial exhibition, presented to outstanding technique, exceptional spirit, embodied philosophy. I wasn't the best fighter that day, but I understood what Bruce taught, that martial arts is not about winning, but about being complete. The medal feels heavy in Lin's hands, weight of history, pressure of expectation, burden of choice. That evening, she researches online video after video of Bruce Lee's demonstrations, his philosophy clear in every movement, his message undeniable in action. Be like water, adapt to circumstances, flow around obstacles, but maintain essence. She watches the famous exhibition her grandfather described, frame by frame, studying technique, absorbing wisdom. The crowd's transformation fascinates her, how hostility becomes respect, how fear becomes understanding, how hatred becomes acceptance through excellence, through truth, through refusing to be diminished. Her phone buzzes, text from Maya. Found something, meet me tomorrow before school, library. Thursday morning, Maya waits with Mrs. Kim, the librarian, and a box of old yearbooks, 1973 through 1975. Mrs. Kim explains, her voice soft, careful. I was student then at Cal State, witnessed the exhibition your grandfather helped organize. She opens the oldest yearbook, points to a photograph. Asian Student Association cultural demonstration promoting understanding through education. In the photo, young faces, determined expressions. Her grandfather among them, younger, stronger, but unmistakably the same man who now carries wisdom in his careful steps. We faced the same prejudice, the same fear, the same rejection, but we persisted through education, through demonstration, through excellence. Mrs. Kim closes the yearbook, looks directly at Lin. The school needs to see what they're rejecting, not through anger or protest, but through understanding. Your grandfather carries a legacy Bruce Lee shared with him. Maybe it's time that legacy continued. She slides a form across the table. Athletic Excellence Day requires pre-registration for demonstrations. I happen to know the deadline hasn't passed for special circumstances. The form feels dangerous in Lin's hands, like a weapon, like a declaration, like a choice. Maya grins, eyes bright with mischief, with possibility. What would Bruce Lee do? The question hangs in the air, like a challenge, like a dare, like destiny. And Lin Chen, 17 years old, granddaughter of legends, keeper of secrets, carrier of flame, stares at the form, at the opportunity, at the chance to honor not just her grandfather, not just Bruce Lee, but everyone who ever faced the choice between silence and truth, between safety and courage, between hiding and shining, so bright, so undeniably, so perfectly that they silence every voice, every doubt, every fear in the room. The pen feels heavy in her hand, but her signature flows like water, like movement, like inevitability, like the first step toward becoming everything she was meant to be. Friday arrives with electric tension. Athletic Excellence Day, posters everywhere, banners, streaming excitement building. The gymnasium transforms into an arena, bleachers packed with parents, students, community members. Local news crew sets up cameras. This event matters in small towns where high school sports define identity, shape futures, create legends. Lin sits in the far corner, away from teams, away from coaches, away from belonging. Her name appears on the program, listed last under special demonstrations. Martial Arts Exhibition L. Chen. The listing feels like target, like exposure, like stepping into the lion's den. Students point, whisper, wonder. Wednesday morning brings whispers of the upcoming demonstration. Every spring semester Westfield High hosts Athletic Excellence Day. Students showcase their talents, their dedication, their school spirit. Football players run drills, basketball stars shoot hoops, swimmers cut through water, track athletes sprint toward glory. All the approved sports, all the acceptable talents, all the safe expressions of American youth. But this year the event carries different weight, sharper edges, deeper meaning. At breakfast, Lynn's parents exchange worried glances, unspoken fears, heavy silence. Her father reads the morning paper, local editorial praising the school's bold decision. Westfield High sets example for traditional values, American sports, only character building through conventional athletics. The words sting like salt in open wounds. Her mother packs lunch, hands trembling slightly, each sandwich wrapped with care, with love, with helplessness. At school, the hallways buzz with anticipation, students discussing their performances, their moments to shine. Lynn walks through invisible, excluded, forgotten. In first period, Coach Williams addresses the class about the demonstration. Remember, excellence is earned, not given. Champions are made, not born. His eyes avoid Lynn, the irony lost on him, but not on her. During lunch, Maya finds her in the courtyard, away from crowds, away from judgment. You've been thinking about your grandfather's story, about Bruce Lee, about that exhibition. She pulls out her phone, shows Lynn a video clip, grainy footage from 1973. The camera shakes, the audio crackles, but the image is unmistakable. Bruce Lee in action, fluid, powerful, undeniable. Around him, a crowd transformed from hostility to wonder. Maya's eyes shine with possibility, with rebellion, with hope. What if we could do something like that? What if you could show them what they're rejecting? Lynn shakes her head. Too dangerous, too risky, too impossible. But the seed is planted. The idea takes root. That afternoon at the academy, her grandfather continues the lesson. The box reveals more treasures, a tournament program from 1974, Bruce Lee Memorial Exhibition honoring his legacy, celebrating his mission. Her grandfather's name listed among the participants, the inheritors, the carriers of the flame. After Bruce died, we felt lost, rudderless, alone, but his message remained. His example endured. His challenge continued. We organized demonstrations, exhibitions, lessons, not for glory, but for understanding. Each performance, each technique, each moment of excellence honored his memory, advanced his cause. Grandpa shows her a medal, bronze and tarnished, but beautiful, from the first memorial exhibition, presented to outstanding technique, exceptional spirit, embodied philosophy. I wasn't the best fighter that day, but I understood what Bruce taught, that martial arts is not about winning, but about being complete. The medal feels heavy in Lynn's hands, weight of history, pressure of expectation, burden of choice. That evening, she researches online video after video of Bruce Lee's demonstrations, his philosophy clear in every movement, his message undeniable in action. Be like water, adapt to circumstances, flow around obstacles, but maintain essence. She watches the famous exhibition her grandfather described, frame by frame, studying technique, absorbing wisdom. The crowd's transformation fascinates her, how hostility becomes respect, how fear becomes understanding, how hatred becomes acceptance. Through excellence, through truth, through refusing to be diminished. Her phone buzzes, text from Maya. Found something, meet me tomorrow before school. Library. Thursday morning, Maya waits with Mrs. Kim, the librarian, and a box of old yearbooks, 1973 through 1975. Mrs. Kim explains, her voice soft, careful. I was student then at Cal State, witnessed the exhibition your grandfather helped organize. She opens the oldest yearbook, points to a photograph. Asian Student Association cultural demonstration promoting understanding through education. In the photo, young faces, determined expressions. Her grandfather among them, younger, stronger, but unmistakably the same man who now carries wisdom in his careful steps. We faced the same prejudice, the same fear, the same rejection, but we persisted through education, through demonstration, through excellence. Mrs. Kim closes the yearbook, looks directly at Lynn. The school needs to see what they're rejecting, not through anger or protest, but through understanding. Your grandfather carries a legacy Bruce Lee shared with him. Maybe it's time that legacy continued. She slides a form across the table. Athletic Excellence Day requires pre-registration for demonstrations. I happen to know the deadline hasn't passed for special circumstances. The form feels dangerous in Lynn's hands, like a weapon, like a declaration, like a choice. Maya grins, eyes bright with mischief, with possibility. What would Bruce Lee do? The question hangs in the air like a challenge, like a dare, like destiny, and Lin Chen, 17 years old granddaughter of legends, keeper of secrets, carrier of flame, stares at the form, at the opportunity, at the chance to honor not just her grandfather, not just Bruce Lee, but everyone who ever faced the choice between silence and truth, between safety and courage, between hiding and shining, so bright, so undeniably, so perfectly that they silence every voice, every doubt, every fear in the room. The pen feels heavy in her hand, but her signature flows like water, like movement, like inevitability, like the first step toward becoming everything she was meant to be. Friday arrives with electric tension, athletic excellence day, posters everywhere, banners, streaming excitement, building. The gymnasium transforms into an arena, bleachers packed with parents, students, community members, local news crew sets up cameras. This event matters in small towns where high school sports define identity, shape futures, create legends. Lynn sits in the far corner, away from teams, away from coaches, away from belonging. Her name appears on the program, listed last under special demonstrations. Martial arts exhibition L. Chun. The listing feels like target, like exposure, like stepping into the lion's den. Students point, whisper, wonder. Brad Kowalski spots the listing. His face twists with rage, with disbelief. What the hell is this? He shows Tyler and Jake the program shaking in his hands. I thought she was banned, thought this was over, thought we won. Principal Matthews reviews his clipboard, frowning, confused, clearly unaware the registration came through official channels, proper procedures, legal requirements. Mrs. Kim stands nearby, her face neutral, but eyes holding satisfaction. Victory, justice. The first events begin. Football players demonstrate blocking, tackling, strategy. Crowd cheers, parents beam, cameras roll. America's game in full glory. Basketball follows. Shooting drills, defensive moves, athletic poetry in motion. Swimming team uses portable pool stroke techniques, breathing patterns, aquatic excellence. Each demonstration receives applause, appreciation, validation. Track and field shows sprint, form, hurdle. Technique, shot, put, power, measured, achievement, the approved sports, the safe choices, the traditional paths to glory. Then comes the announcement that changes everything. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice echoes through speakers. Our final demonstration. Martial arts exhibition presented by Lin Chen at the gymnasium. Falls. Silent conversations stop. All eyes turn to the small figure walking toward the center mat. She moves with quiet dignity, each step measured, each breath controlled. Her grandfather's teachings flowing through every muscle, every nerve, every heartbeat. Behind her, a figure emerges from the shadows. Mr. Martinez, the janitor, carrying something wrapped in silk. He unwraps a wooden stand carved with dragons, ancient symbols, meaningful designs on it. He places the photograph, Bruce Lee and her grandfather side by side, brothers and art partners in purpose. The crowd murmurs recognition, dawning connections, forming understanding, beginning. Lin bows to the photograph, to the memory, to the legacy, to the moment. Then begins. Tiger's stance, fluid as water, powerful as mountain, graceful as wind. Her movements tell stories. Ancient tales of discipline, of respect, of inner strength. Crane, technique, balance, perfect control, absolute beauty, undeniable. The gymnasium watches, transfixed, hypnotized by excellence. Dragon form, explosive power, contained, directed, purposeful. Snake movements, precise, deadly, elegant, controlled. Each technique builds towards something greater, something transcendent, something that speaks without words. The crowd that came to mock, to judge, to exclude finds itself witnessing art, philosophy, truth. Parents lean forward, students stop, whispering, cameras focus, hearts open. Brad Kowalski watches, his face cycling through emotions, anger, confusion, reluctant, respect. Tyler and Jake stand silent. Weapons useless against beauty, against skill, against undeniable excellence. Principal Matthews stares, his clipboard forgotten, his certainty shaken. The demonstration reaches crescendo, complex combinations, flowing sequences, decades of training compressed into perfect moments. Lin moves like Bruce Lee moved, like her grandfather taught her, like water, finding its way around obstacles, through barriers, past prejudice. The final form builds slowly, power gathering like storm clouds, like righteous anger. Like truth long suppressed, she executes a series of techniques, so advanced, so flawless, so beautiful that the gymnasium holds its breath, afraid to break the spell. The magic, the transformation, and then silence, complete, total, pregnant with possibility. Lin stands center mat, breathing, controlled posture, perfect, spirit unbroken. She looks at the crowd, at the faces changed, opened, awakened, at Brad, whose anger has become confusion at Principal Matthews, whose certainty has become doubt at parents who came to celebrate their children's conventional achievements, but witnessed something extraordinary. She bows to the photograph, to Bruce Lee's memory, to her grandfather's legacy, to the moment that changes everything. The silence stretches, grows, deepens like the moment before thunder, before revelation, before the world shifts on its axis. One person begins to clap. Mrs. Kim from the back, her applause echoing through the space. Mr. Martinez joins her, his weathered hands creating rhythm of respect, of recognition. Maya stands up, clapping loudly, proudly, defiantly. Then others, a parent, hear a student, their recognition growing, spreading like ripples in still water. The applause builds slowly, steadily, inevitably, until the gymnasium fills with sound, with appreciation, with understanding. And Lin Chen, 17 years old, student of ancient arts, keeper of sacred truths, granddaughter of legends, stands in the center of her storm, of her moment, of her truth, having done what Bruce Lee did before her, what her grandfather taught her to do: silence doubt, through excellence commanded respect, through skill changed hearts, through undeniable beauty. The question no longer hangs in the air, what would you do? She showed them exactly what to do when faced with hatred, with ignorance, with fear. You respond with excellence, so perfect, so complete, so undeniable that it silences every voice, every doubt, every prejudice in the room. The applause continues, growing stronger, more genuine, more transformative, but not everyone joins the ovation. Principal Matthews steps forward, his face flushed, authority, threatened, control slipping. That's enough. His voice cuts through the applause, sharp as blade, cold as winter. This demonstration was not approved through proper channels. This is a violation of school policy. The applause falters, uncertainty creeping into the moment like poison, like doubt. Matthews continues, his voice gaining confidence, power, righteous indignation. We made our position clear. Martial arts have no place in this institution. Miss Chun has deliberately violated our guidelines, undermined our authority, disrespected our decision. The crowd shifts, uncomfortable, caught between what they witnessed and what authority demands they believe. But then from the back, a voice rises, strong, clear, unexpected. Principal Matthews. The voice belongs to an elderly man, distinguished, well-dressed, moving slowly but purposefully through the crowd. Board Chairman Dr. Wellington School District Authority. Real power. I'd like to see the policy that prohibits what we just witnessed. Matthews stammers, searches his clipboard, his prepared defenses suddenly inadequate. Sir, the new guidelines clearly state traditional American sports only. Dr. Wellington reaches the center, studies the photograph of Bruce Lee and Master Chin. Traditional, he repeats, slowly testing the word like something that might bite. What exactly makes martial arts less traditional than basketball? A sport invented by a Canadian? The question hangs in the air, dangerous, challenging truth disguised as inquiry. What makes discipline less American than football? A game adapted from rugby? The gymnasium watches this unexpected battle between authorities, between philosophies, between past and future. Dr. Wellington continues, his voice carrying decades of wisdom, institutional memory. Been on this board for 30 years, watched thousands of students graduate, never seen a demonstration more aligned with our stated values: character, discipline, excellence, respect. He turns to face the crowd, his voice projecting authority, real authority. This young woman embodies everything we claim to teach: self-control, dedication, grace, under pressure, pursuit of excellence. And we're punishing her for what exactly? Being different? Being exceptional, being Asian. The last word cuts through pretense, euphemism. Careful language gets to the heart of the matter, the ugly truth everyone knows, but no one wants to say. Matthews tries to regain control. Sir, if I may, the community concerns, the parent complaints, the safety issues. What safety issues? Dr. Wellington interrupts, sharp, direct, cutting. Did we see any violence? Any aggression? Any danger? Or did we see art? Philosophy? Beauty? He walks to where Lin stands, still centered, still calm, still dignified. Miss Chun, would you mind demonstrating one more technique? Something that shows the self-defense aspect of your training? Lin nods, moves to fighting stance, controlled, ready, but not aggressive. Dr. Wellington asks for a volunteer from the football team, someone to play attacker, safely, carefully. Brad Kowalski steps forward, eager to redeem his challenged authority, his threatened superiority, but Dr. Wellington shakes his head, selects instead a Smaller players, someone closer to Lin's size. The demonstration is brief, educational, revelatory. The attacker approaches Lin, responds, deflects, controls, subdues without violence, without anger, without harm, pure technique applied with surgical precision. Moral clarity, the attacker taps out respectfully, amazed by the control, the skill, the restraint. Dr. Wellington addresses the crowd, his voice carrying final authority. I see self-defense, I see discipline, I see respect for both opponent and art. What I don't see is any reason to ban such excellence from our school. He turns to Matthews, the confrontation. No longer subtle, Principal Matthews, you will immediately reverse this policy. You will restore Miss Chen's standing. You will issue a public apology for this embarrassment. The words land like blows, each one precise, effective. Final. Matthews deflates. His authority evaporated, his certainty shattered, but the victory feels incomplete, fragile, temporary, because institutional change requires more than one moment, one demonstration, one authority figure's recognition. It requires hearts to change minds, to open fear, to transform into understanding, and that takes time, takes patience, takes continued excellence. Lin looks around the gymnasium at faces still processing, still deciding, still choosing between old fear and new understanding, between familiar prejudice and uncomfortable growth, between what they always believed and what they just witnessed. The applause returned, stronger, now more confident, more genuine, because sometimes all it takes is one person with enough courage to stand up, to speak truth, to demand what's right, and sometimes all it takes is one moment of undeniable excellence to silence every voice, every doubt, every prejudice in the room. But Lin knows this is not the end of the story. This is just the beginning of a longer journey toward acceptance, toward understanding, toward a world where excellence is celebrated regardless of its origin, where students like her don't have to choose between heritage and belonging, where the question, "What would you do?" has a clear answer. Stand up, speak truth, demonstrate excellence, so undeniable, so perfect, so complete that it changes not just minds, but hearts, not just policies, but souls, not just institutions, but the world. One room, one moment, one truth at a time. 3 weeks later, the gymnasium feels different, lighter somehow, as if the air itself has been cleansed. Lin walks through hallways where whispers once followed, now silence greets her, but it's different silence, respectful, contemplative, changed. Her locker cleaned and repaired no longer bears the scars of hatred. Fresh paint covers old wounds, though memories remain. The martial arts program has been officially reinstated, forms filed, policies revised, discrimination erased from official record, but paperwork cannot heal what runs deeper than policy. At lunch, Maya finds her at their usual table with unexpected company. Rebecca Shaw, the chemistry partner, who once treated Lin like contamination, sits awkwardly picking at her salad. I wanted to, she starts, stops, starts again. What you did that day in the gym, I've never seen anything like it. Her voice carries something unfamiliar, humility, respect, recognition. I was wrong about you, about martial arts, about a lot of things. The apology hangs between them, imperfect but genuine. A small bridge across old chasms. Lin nods, accepts what's offered, knows that forgiveness is its own form of strength. In chemistry class, Mrs. Patterson assigns new partners, this time truly random, no hidden agendas, no social engineering. Lin works with Tommy Chin, no relation, despite the name, a quiet boy from the debate team. He measures chemicals with precision, speaks in careful sentences about molecular bonds, chemical reactions, transformation processes. Change, he says quietly, while recording data, is usually slow, incremental. But sometimes catalysts appear, accelerate everything, create new compounds, new possibilities. He looks at her meaningfully, the metaphor, clear, appreciated. After school, the academy buzzes with new energy, students returning, families, inquiring, community interest growing. Her grandfather moves with renewed purpose, teaching forms, sharing philosophy, passing on wisdom. The wooden box now sits in place of honor on the front desk. Bruce Lee's photograph visible to Allah, reminder of legacy, of possibility, of the power that lives within excellence. New students arrive daily, some drawn by the demonstration, others by curiosity, many by the simple desire to learn something beautiful. Among them, unexpected faces. Mr. Martinez's daughter seeking self-defense, Mrs. Kim's nephew interested in philosophy, even some football players wanting to understand what they witnessed. Brad Kowalski appears one evening alone, uncertain, pride warring with curiosity. He stands in The doorway watching a beginner's class, children learning basic stances, fundamental respect. His presence creates tension, uncomfortable energy, old wounds still healing, but Lin's grandfather approaches calmly. Without judgment, you welcome here if you come to learn, to grow, to understand. Brad shifts weight from foot to foot, 17 years of taught superiority, crumbling slowly. I don't understand, he says finally, how you do it, how you stay calm when people treat you like that. Lin overhears from across the room the question, more vulnerable than anything she expected. Her grandfather gestures to a meditation corner, cushions arranged in careful circle. Sit, he says simply, learn to listen first to yourself, then to others, then to silence. That evening at home, Lin finds her parents reading newspaper. The follow-up story to Athletic Excellence Day. Local high school embraces diversity, traditional martial arts, find new acceptance, community learns from demonstration. The article features quotes from changed minds, open hearts, new understanding. I never seen such beautiful control, says one parent. My daughter wants to learn now, says another. We were wrong to judge so quickly, admits a third. But the most meaningful quote comes from an unexpected source. Principal Matthews, his words carefully chosen, his tone contrite. We learned that excellence takes many forms, that tradition has many expressions, that America is strengthened by embracing all its children's gifts. The words feel scripted, politically necessary, but they represent progress, however small, however forced. Change, Tommy Chun said, usually comes slowly, but sometimes catalysts appear. Lin sits in her room, homework scattered across her desk, but her mind elsewhere. She thinks about Bruce Lee's exhibition in 1973, how one moment of undeniable truth silenced hatred, opened minds, changed trajectory. She thinks about her grandfather's quiet courage, decades of dignity, patience, rewarded legacy, honored. She thinks about the question that started everything, what would you do? The answer lies now in muscle memory, in changed policies, in new students learning ancient arts, in respect earned through excellence, in bridges built through understanding, in silence achieved not through suppression but through awe. Her phone buzzes, text from Maya, saw the news story, you're famous, now still proud of you. Another buzz, unknown number, thank you, my daughter starts classes Monday, you changed our minds. More messages, more gratitude, more recognition, but the one that matters most comes from her grandfather. Bruce would be proud you honored his memory, you honored our family, you honored yourself. Lin looks out her window at the town that tried to silence her, that feared her difference, that questioned her worth. Now many of those same people send their children to learn from her grandfather, to understand what they once rejected. The transformation isn't complete, may never be perfect. Some hearts remain closed, some minds stay shuttered, some fears persist, but change has begun. Seeds planted, roots taking hold in soil prepared by one moment of perfect excellence, one demonstration of undeniable truth, one girl's courage to stand in the center of the storm and show them exactly what she was made of. The question no longer haunts her, what would you do? She knows she did everything her grandfather taught her, everything Bruce Lee believed possible, everything her heart knew was right. She silenced an entire room, not through volume, but through beauty, not through force, but through grace, not through anger, but through undeniable, perfect truth. 6 months later, spring sunlight filters through academy windows, different than before, warmer, somehow more welcoming. The enrollment has tripled. Children's laughter echoes off walls that once knew only Lin's solitude. She teaches now beginner classes, passing on what was given, sharing wisdom earned through struggle among her students' faces that surprise, challenge assumptions, heal old wounds. Rebecca Shaw practices forms with dedication, her sharp tongue softened by discipline, her cruelty transformed into protective strength. Tommy Chun from chemistry class moves with natural grace, his quiet intelligence finding expression in fluid motion. Even some of Brad's former pack train here, now Tyler learning respect through repetition, Jake discovering that true strength requires restraint. The transformation spreads beyond these walls through the community like ripples in still water. Westfield High now celebrates Cultural Heritage Month. Lin demonstrates for elementary schools, teaching children that different doesn't mean dangerous. Principal Matthews attends these events, his presence a public statement, his participation a form of ongoing penance. The wooden box has found permanent home in the Academy's display case alongside new editions, newspaper clippings from the demonstration, letters from grateful parents, photos of new students, certificates of achievement, but the centerpiece remains unchanged. Bruce Lee and her grandfather side by side, brothers in purpose, teachers of truth. Dr. Wellington visits monthly board meetings held here, now community engagement real and meaningful. The district has adopted Lynn's story as an example of inclusive excellence educational philosophy, made manifest. Other schools send delegations to observe. To learn to understand how one moment can change everything. Lynn demonstrates for these visitors her story, retold, her courage celebrated, her impact measured, but she knows the real victory lies in quiet moments, daily transformations, small acceptances. Growing Understanding Maya films a documentary for senior project. Title card reads, "The day one girl silenced hatred with excellence." The footage captures testimonials from changed hearts, open minds, transformed lives. Mrs. Kim speaks about libraries as bridges between cultures, between understanding. Mr. Martinez shares his story, military service, immigrant struggle, recognition earned through persistence. Rebecca Shaw apologizes publicly for past cruelty. Thanks Lynn for showing a better way. Even Brad Kowalski appears on camera, his words halting but sincere. "It was wrong. I was scared of what I didn't understand." She showed us that excellence has many faces, that strength takes many forms, that America is stronger when it embraces all its children. The documentary wins state awards, screens at festivals, spreads the message beyond small-town boundaries. But Lynn's proudest moment comes quietly on a Tuesday evening teaching beginners. A new student arrives late, nervous, uncertain. She's 8 years old, Vietnamese American, recently moved from California. The other kids welcome her warmly, no hesitation, no judgment, no fear. They help her learn basic stances, share their water, include her naturally in their circle. This, Lynn realizes, is what victory actually looks like. Not applause, not newspaper coverage, not awards, but children who see difference as addition, not subtraction, who welcome what they don't understand, who make space for everyone in their circle. That evening, her grandfather watches her lock up the academy. "You did more than honor Bruce's memory," he says quietly. "You created a new legacy, a different story, a better future." Lynn bows to her teacher, her grandfather, her guide, the lessons he taught her about patience, about dignity, about excellence as response to hatred have taken root, not just in her, but in the community that tried to silence her. They walk home together through streets that know her now, not as the quiet Asian girl who didn't belong, but as the teacher, the bridge builder, the courage keeper who showed them what excellence looks like. At home, her parents prepared dinner, the table set for 40R. Wellington joins them, monthly tradition. Now board chairman and family friend, he brings news of other districts adopting similar inclusive policies. Lynn's impact spreading like seeds on wind. After dinner, Lynn sits in her room, homework, finished, future stretching before her. College applications completed, martial arts scholarships offered, opportunities unimaginable 6 months ago. But tonight her thoughts return to the beginning, the question that started everything. What would you do? She answered. With her life, her choices, her courage showed the world that one person standing strong can silence an entire room, not through volume, but through beauty, not through force, but through grace, not through anger, but through undeniable, perfect truth. The phone rings, unknown number, familiar pattern. "Saw your story online. My daughter faces similar situation. Can you help?" Lynn smiles. The cycle continues. The legacy lives on. The question finds new voices. What would you do? She knows exactly what to do. Stand up, speak truth, demonstrate excellence. So undeniable, so perfect, so complete that it changes not just minds, but hearts, not just policies, but souls. Not just institutions, but the world. One room, one moment, one truth at a time. The way Bruce Lee taught her grandfather, the way her grandfather taught her, the way she teaches others. Excellence as answer to hatred, beauty as response to fear, truth as weapon against ignorance, and love disguised as discipline, strength, courage, the only force powerful enough to silence every voice, every doubt, every prejudice in any room, anywhere, anytime, forever. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe.